My apologies. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are watching me from this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. How are you? How is it from your end? How is everything? How is your day going so far? How are you finding this January? Yes, for me, I am seeing that this January is moving faster than most Januaries. You know, it's really moving fast. Okay, why am I not um, just going? Okay, yes, okay, I'm live on Facebook. Yes, I'm live on Facebook. Let me just check on Instagram. All right, we're live on Instagram. Okay, LinkedIn. Let me do just a quick go round to ensure that everything is okay. I really can't see our LinkedIn. I don't know why. I don't know why. We're live on YouTube. So right now it's only LinkedIn that I can't see. Oh, okay, we're live on LinkedIn. All right, we're live everywhere. We are meant to be live. Please join me from whichever platform is more comfortable for you. This is Growth Habits with Ngozi. I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. Thank you, Mark Braid. I see you on Instagram. Thank you for joining me today. This is your first time. Please just introduce yourself to me. Let me meet you. I'm glad to meet you. If you join anywhere on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, do let me know that you're there. Just a hello, a hi is all that I need. That's all that I need to see. All right, so thank you for joining me and welcome once again to Growth Habits with Ngozi. As I said, I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. We have been on this journey for quite some time now, and we're going to be on this journey for quite some time to go. So thank you for joining me once again. If you're watching the replay, God bless you. Thank you for engaging. Please, when you watch, introduce yourself, ask questions. I will respond to as many as possible. So ask questions as we go along, comment. I want to hear your own contributions because I am not the only, let me not say, yeah, let me use the word only. I'm not the only um, voice on these matters that I'm talking about. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. So please do let me know your own comments. Do let me know your own opinion on the things that I am talking about. I will gladly respond as I see your comments. So welcome once again to Growth Habits with Ngozi. I said last time that I will be intentional to mention my action point from the previous week. So today I want to just share with us my action point from last week. I decided, we said we should have a minimum viable habit that we want to work on. So the minimum viable habit that I chose for last week was to have a daily intentional pause and alignment check. Just 5-10 minutes is not anything crazy, just like 5-10 minutes daily intentional pause, daily intentional alignment check. And I did that last week. Interestingly, I actually did it. That is, it's just me every day for this past week, sitting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's not a big production. It's not as if I did any big thing, but I would just pause. Sometimes I did it in the morning, some days I did it in the evening. So I would just pause and ask myself just one question each sitting. One question on how I'm doing, on How am I aligning? And I would respond to myself. Interesting enough. Sometimes I wrote it down. That's my response. Sometimes I did not. But the thing is that I ensured that I took those daily pauses. I took those daily pauses and asked myself questions. Sometimes it will be, um, what is one thing that actually matters? If, especially if I'm doing it in the morning, what is one thing that actually matters right now that I can carry forward? Sometimes that was the question I asked myself. Sometimes the question will be, um, if I intend to have an aligned day, that is a day that is aligned to my purpose, aligned to the purposes of God, aligned to the reason why I'm in this earth, what would that look like today? What would that effort, what would that activity look like today? And I would answer the thing myself, and then I would try to do that throughout the day. Um, Sometimes when I did it in the evening, I will now check, did I really carry out, did I really do that action that was, aligned? So that was my own action point from last week. And I ensured, because I said I will be intentional in sharing with us what I did. So it was just an intentional pause and alignment check every day of last week, just to make sure, that I'm not going off my purpose, I'm not going off the plan. Yeah, so yes, that was my intentional action from last week. What was yours? You can share with me. I would be glad to hear from you. What was your own intentional act from last week? What did you commit to? And what did you actually do after committing to it? All right. So, yes, we are moving on to today's session. Today, our topic is managing energy, not time. Managing energy, not time. Many a times we're like, we have to manage our time so that we remain focused, so that our motivation is high and all those things. But sometimes it's not about managing time, because many times we have all the time in the world, really. We have all the time in the world, but we are still falling behind. We are still stressed. Our momentum is still declining. So that is what we want to look at today. But as usual, let me do a quick recap of what we have done so far in this whole month of January. Of course, we are looking at rebuilding momentum. Um, Many of us start off with so much momentum 1st of January, and along the line, it's wanes off. So we decided to take this month to look at how to rebuild that momentum. Even if it's falling off, what do we do? What ways can we get the momentum up once again? So in the first session of this series, we talked about why motivation fails and what actually drives progress. What are the things that drive progress? And we said that motivation is not what sustains your progress. It's not motivation, because motivation wanes. It can disappear when you need it. It's systems, it's structure, it's your identity. Those are the things that will help you move forward, the things that will help you progress. Because the low energy days will always come. I don't know who does not have low energy days, but the systems that you have put in place, the habits that you have established, that is what is going to keep you. That's what's going to help you build momentum. Our key takeaway from that session was that you don't build momentum by feeling inspired, because once again, inspiration will wane at a point. You build momentum by designing systems. It's the systems, it's the habits that you put in place that will help you. Then in session 2, we talked about the habit of showing up when you feel behind, because you will feel behind at some point or the other. Whether or whether, as they say, you will feel behind at one point or the other. So we've looked at the fact that when you're feeling behind, you generally withdraw and you generally begin to avoid certain activities because of shame. And that shame will always disrupt your consistency, the shame of not meeting up. But if you keep showing up, even when you are falling behind, you find that you'll build momentum once again and you'll be able to move forward. Our key takeaway from that session last week was momentum is preserved by presence, not perfection. So just showing up is what you need. Just showing up is what you need in order to preserve and sustain momentum. All right, so that was what we talked about in the first two sessions in this series. Today, now, sometimes when you understand the systems, you've established the systems, you've set up the habits that will carry you forward, you're willing to even show up again and again. But sometimes you still feel tired, you still feel drained, you still feel scattered. And when this happens, what most of us say is that, oh, I just need more time. I didn't arrange my time well. I didn't manage my time well. That is why I'm drained. That is why I'm tired. That is why I'm overextended because I did not manage my time well. But what if the real issue isn't really time? What if it's not really time that is the issue, but energy? Energy. And that's what we are going to talk about today because really, with a lot of time, not all the time. Sometimes it is a time management issue, get this right. But sometimes it's not that we lack time, we just lack usable energy. We're not lacking time, we just lack usable energy. We manage our calendar well, we are able to, put things where they should, and we are able to maintain the structure of time, but still we are mentally exhausted. Still, we're emotionally overwhelmed. Still, we are physically depleted. So, what is missing? It means that at that point, it's not time management we need, but energy management. Because at that time, our energy is low. And because our energy is low, even the smallest of tasks, the simplest of tasks, feel heavy. And of course, when tasks feel heavy, we don't want to do them. We don't want to do them. And then we find ourselves falling behind. And of course, as you're falling behind, motivation is declining and the circle is endless. But there's some research. Let me start from that point. There's some research that I found that helps us understand that sometimes it's not a time management problem, it's actually an energy management problem. I found that there's a research published in the Harvard Business Review, and it shows that managing your energy is the key to sustained high performance. It said that people who intentionally manage their physical energy, emotional energy, and mental focus, they outperform those who focus only on time management. Remember, we're not saying that time management is not what you should do. You should manage your time. You must manage your time. But note and know that sometimes it's not just time that you need to manage. You need to manage your energy. Because productivity really follows your energy, not always your hours. Not always your hours. So it's essential that we learn how to manage our energy. Then another research I saw shows that decision making quality declines as mental energy is depleted. Okay, let me not go ahead of myself. I wanted to talk about rest now, but yeah, when your mental energy is depleted, you will definitely make poor quality decisions. Definitely, without fail. This explains why, sometimes we start our day so focused, ready to go, gearing to achieve everything. And then by the time the day is ending, we're procrastinating, we're disengaged, our energy levels are depleted. whether mental, physical, whatever, but our energies are being depleted. So it wasn't that we didn't manage our time well, it's just that we didn't manage our energy well. So many times when we're not consistent, it's an energy issue. It's not discipline. It's not time management. It's just that we did not manage our energies well. So, what is this energy, managing this energy that we are talking about? What does it really mean? Most people assume that they are tired because they are busy, but often they are tired because one or more of our energy systems is being drained and is not being recovered. So, momentum, this momentum we're talking about is like a wheel. It's like a wheel. And if one spoke of that wheel is weakened, the whole wheel slows down. The whole wheel slows down. Even if all the other spokes are intact, but because just one is out of whack, or just one is not as it should, just one is weakened, it's not even broken yet. The whole wheel is out of whack. The whole wheel, begins to have an issue. So the whole wheel begins to slow down. Now let's look at this energy. I have what I call the energy framework, and it's looking at the different types of energy and how you can what's the word I'm looking for? How you can assess that energy and it will help you build your momentum. Remember, if any of these aspects of energy that I'm going to talk about, if any is weak, the whole wheel becomes slow. We cannot achieve as much as we want, even if we have all the time in the world. Even if we have arranged our time well and everything time wise is working well. If we don't take care of these different aspects of our energy, we will not achieve much. So, the first one is our emotional energy. How do you feel about what you are doing? How do you feel about what you are doing? Uyime Latisa, thank you for joining me. I can see you on Facebook. Thank you so much, sir. How do you feel about what you are doing? Emotional energy generally answers this question for us. Does this task drain me or give me life? This task that I'm doing, this activity that I'm participating in, does it drain me or does it give me life? Because you can have all the skill, you can have all the time, but if your heart is heavy, if your heart is not in what you're doing, definitely motivation will drop and you will not be able to achieve much. You will not be able to achieve what you should achieve. So you have to ask yourself this question: if that task, if this activity, if this thing that I'm doing, is it draining me or is it giving me life? Because the emotional energy, how you feel about what you're doing, is important to you achieving what you're doing. I give example with myself, growth habits that I do. It gives me life, honestly. This is one task that I know that gives me life. And that's why I'm able to be consistent in it. Not because even when physically I'm not okay, I still show up. Even in days where even environmentally things around me are not okay, I still show up. Because this is one activity that I know does not drain me. It actually gives me life. So how do you feel about what you're doing? How do you feel about it? Some of the things that helps us know that our emotional energy is being depleted is one, we are constantly in dread of the activity we want to do or the task that we want to do. We are constantly dreading it. We are irritable, we are frustrated, we have no enthusiasm towards that activity. When you're feeling this, just know that your emotional energy is being depleted and you need to revive it. You need to recover your emotional energy. Otherwise, whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is, you will not be a good success in it. You will not do it well. You will not be motivated to keep doing it. So figure out, work out how you feel about what you're doing. If it feels draining, you have to make some amendments. You have to do some adjustment. But if it gives you life, you will keep going. You will keep moving at breakneck speed. There will be no, even if you're slowing down, honestly, even when you're slowing down, because once again, your physical um, environment is not, excuse me, is not the best, even if it's not the best at that time. But because this is an activity that is giving you life, you will always find the motivation to keep going. So, emotional energy. In sorting out our emotional energy, you should ask yourself, what is it that you're doing consistently that emotionally drains you? Even if that thing looks productive, even if it looks like, this thing is bringing results, but what is it that you're consistently doing that emotionally drains you? This is a question you need to ask yourself. This is something you need to consider so that you know how to adjust your emotional energy. The next energy I want to talk about is your neural energy. That is your focus, your attention, your decision-making capacities. Your neural energy is about your mental bandwidth. Because each decision we make in life, no matter how minor or major, costs some energy. It takes away some energy from us. And when our neural energy is low, even the simplest of choices feels overwhelming. So this is another area of energy that you need to look at and ensure that it is um, optimal. Ensure that it is optimal. It might not be perfect. Remember, all these aspects of energy I'm talking about today, we are not looking for perfection on any of them, but we are looking for, let me say, optimal levels. We are looking for you to be at a good place in all of these areas. Remember, if one is weak, the whole wheel slows down. So your neural energy, some things that can show you that your neural energy is being depleted is that you're finding it difficult to concentrate. You're beginning to have mental fog. You're beginning to procrastinate on simple tasks. You're beginning to, scroll mindlessly instead of making decisions. This will tell you that your neural energy is becoming depleted and you need to do something to bring it up. You need to do something to re-engage your focus, your attention, your decision-making capacities. Some of the things that we do that depletes our neural energy is that we don't have clear priorities. We have too many loops open in our activity chain, in the things that we are doing, too many. So we need to begin to shut down some of those loops. We need to begin to set clear priorities. This will help build up our neural energy. Now, when I'm careful to say this, when you find yourself lacking focus, usually it's a sign of decision fatigue, usually, not necessarily that you're not disciplined. So once you begin to see that you're lacking focus, note that your neural energy is running low. So look for a way to ramp it up once again and ask yourself, where am I spending mental energy on decisions that don't actually matter? This is what is going to help you discover where you need to plug in your neural energy. Where am I spending mental energy on decisions that don't actually matter? These are hard questions you ask yourself. I can't answer them for you. I can only answer for myself. I know that there are sometimes I sit down thinking about certain things, trying to decide what to do. And on contemplation, I realized that I spent way too much time on this matter. It didn't require this much energy, it didn't require this much contemplation. And I drop it. But if I didn't sit with it to give it a thought, I would keep concentrating on those things. And in the scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, for my life, for my purpose, for me achieving the things I need to achieve, that particular decision was not actually relevant. So, where am I spending mental energy on decisions that don't actually matter, that do not contribute to my purpose, that do not contribute to my general well being, that do not contribute to my achieving the purposes of God in my life? Okay, thank you, sir. I see your comments on Facebook. Thank you. Ask yourself that question. And as you ask yourself that question, it will help you see where to plug um, the leaks in your neural energy. All right. The next aspect of energy I want to talk about is environmental energy. I mentioned it in passing um, when I started somewhere along the line. Coach Ify, I see you on Instagram. Thank you for joining me. So, environmental energy. This is your surrounding, this is noise, this is people, this is visual clutter, your environmental energy. And your environment, whether we accept or we don't, your environment either supports your energy or silently drains it. The environment you're in. Environment is not just the physical space. It's not just maybe the table, but even your table contributes. I never used to believe this. When they say that when your table is cluttered, it affects your productivity. I never believed it because me, I can scatter my table. I have papers everywhere. Though I know, this paper, I know what is there. I know why it's there. But I had papers all over my table, always, always, constantly full of papers. If you come and say, "Oh, that memo of which they give me, I know where I dropped it on that clutter," but my table was constantly cluttered. Until I've heard this so many times, I decided to just try it. That when you declutter your table, it also like has an effect on your mind. So I decluttered my table. And truly, 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 it helps. So your environment can either support. When I look and the table is all clean, I'm like, wow. There's this kind of joy that comes with knowing that everywhere is all arranged, everything is all put in place. So your environment either supports your energy or silently drains it. Because the draining is not like that. Suddenly you find no, slowly, silently, it drains your energy. You may not notice it immediately, but over time, it compounds. Over time, it compounds. 1 minute. I need to plug my phone. I forgot. So that it will be charging. Okay, so yeah, some of the things that can help you know that your environmental energy is being depleted is you have constant background noise. Some people, I work with noise. Let me tell you this. Funny enough, the TV can be blasting and I'm reading. The drone of the sound of the television somehow helps me. I don't know how it works, but it somehow helps me. But when there's constant noise also in your background, it could deplete your energy and you don't realize it. So this first aspect, um, I think it depends because, like I said, I can have the television going and I'm reading and I'm comprehending everything I'm reading. My daughter, Her own is something else. My daughter has the TV on. She's listening to a podcast on her phone and she's typing something on her laptop. And ask her about any of those things. She knows what is happening. I don't know how she does it. So, background noise can be good for some people. But when you have constant background noise, sometimes it depletes your energy and you don't realize it. Visual clutter is another thing. I mentioned my table. It looked to me like, this is my plan, there's sensing this is my disorganization. But once I was able to organize that table, I also saw the benefits of it. Draining social environments. There are some environments you will find yourself in, the people around, the things there, and it just drains you. It just drains you. So you need to look at your environment. Are you working in a place with no boundaries? For example, in your office, there are no boundaries. Anybody does anything, and every but there are just no boundaries. That kind of place will drain your energy. That kind of environment will drain your energy. Are you in an environment that you're constantly overstimulated or you're constantly distracted? Now, I mentioned the TV, but for some people, that television is a distraction. So, but if you remain in that environment where that noise is a distraction, of course, of course, you'll be drained. So, you need to sit once again and figure out the kind of places that you are. What is it in my environment that makes it harder for me to stay focused or to stay calm? This is the question you ask yourself. What is it in my environment, in my own environment, that makes it harder for me to stay focused or to stay calm? If it is television, turn it off. If it is even the human beings in your environment, find a way to extricate yourself. Find a way to, seclude yourself, even if it's for a season. Find a way to remove yourself from that environment. What is it in my environment that makes it harder for me to stay focused? Find that thing and find a way to extricate yourself from it, to remove yourself from it, because it will drain your energy. Even if you have, once again, planned your time well, your environment could still drain all your energy and you will not be able to achieve what you need to achieve. All right. The next part of this framework is rest. Rest and recovery. That is sleep, breaks, spiritual rest. Rest is not a reward. Rest, it is not a reward. It is a requirement. My son asked me the other day, how do I manage to be taking naps in the afternoon? I told him I just lie down and sleep. And I'm sure he's asking this because this is not something he's used to, especially from me. Before, I don't know what is nap. I don't know what is taking a nap. What am I taking a nap for when there's so much to do? But I've come to realize that rest is a requirement. It's not just naps, please, but I'm just using that as an example here now. It is a requirement. We need rest. We need physical rest. We need spiritual rest. We need emotional rest. We need rest. Resting is not stopping. Many a times we see rest as stopping. That is why we don't rest. Resting is not stopping. Resting is actually preserving your momentum, giving yourself chance to gather up momentum once again. So resting is not stopping. And when you see yourself, you're constantly tired. In fact, you're chronically tired, not even just constantly. You're chronically tired. You wake up tired, you're tired throughout the day, you go to bed tired. You need rest. When you find that you're always irritable, everything anybody does irritates you, you need rest. When you find it difficult to wake up in the morning, you've slept 8 good hours, but you still find it difficult to wake up in the morning, you need rest. You need rest. So these are signs that you're lacking rest. Get rest. Like I said, there are different types of rest. We have physical rest, which is sleep. Get your 7, 8 hours of sleep at night. Take the naps in the midday whenever you can get them. Take mental breaks. Take breaks from thinking. I have a friend that his brain is active 24/7. His brain is always working. And I told him, look, you need to be able to take mental breaks from thinking. It is essential that sometimes you stop thinking. Give the brain a rest. Our brain is capable of a lot. We have not even scratched the surface of what our brains are capable of. But part of what the brain requires in order to function optimally is a break. So give the brain a break, mental rest is essential. Emotional rest, give space from stress, things that, stress you up. Take a break from them. Give yourself some space from them. And then we all need spiritual rest, time with God, stillness, not praying per se. Prayer is part of it, but when I say stillness, it's the stillness I'm trying to describe. Just to be quiet before God. Spend time with Him, not asking Him for anything. Not asking Him for anything. Okay, Coach Ify says she can also work and do work in a noisy environment, but the challenge is that can you tolerate a quiet environment, or do you constantly need that noise stimulation? Yes, this was an issue for me because I am used to working with noise. I can work with noise, but I was talking about stillness now. It became an issue for me because I found it difficult to be still with God because there is no noise. There was no noise in my background. So either I had to put music, I had to put some kind of noise, but I've started to develop um, being able to be quiet. There is no noise, no television, no one is talking, no music, nothing. And I'm still able to do something productive. It's something I had to teach myself. I was not good at it because I am used to having noise around. If I really want to get things done, there has to be some background noise. That was me. But in time, I'm able to do both now, really. Not perfectly yet, still working on the quietness side, but I am able to actually get things done in quietness now. So, you know, once again, we have to ask ourselves, where have I been pushing when I should be recovering? We're talking about rest now. Where have I been pushing when I should be recovering? That is the question we need to ask ourselves to see the level of rest we need, to see the level of our um, recovery that we are either missing or cutting short. Where have I been pushing when I should be recovering? Okay, the last part. Okay, it's not the last part actually. I have two more parts of the framework. Is G. This is going so long. Gut and physical health, nutrition, hydration, movement. When we talk about energy, we have to understand that our physical body is part of it. When we can't really separate our physical body from our productivity, from our activities, from our actions, we can't. When we are not eating properly, when we are not moving, when we are not hydrating and all that, it will affect our energy. We will become sluggish. We will have brain fog. We will have mood swings. I didn't realize that not drinking water could truly affect my mental, not just mental capabilities, but my general sense of well being. Let me even use that expression. There was a period I don't like to drink water anyway. Let me just put that out there. It's an activity, it is a chore for me to drink water. Let me tell us that. But I started noticing that when I started making drinking water, an action, I carry my water bottle everywhere and such things. When I started doing that and began to hydrate better, I saw that some level of sluggishness left my left me when I started going for walks. I'm not running, I'm not doing any great big thing. Walks. I started noticing that yes, I've walked, which is an activity which should tire me out, but I'm more energized afterwards. So you see that these things affect they affect our ability to do what we need to do. They affect our ability to sustain our energy, sustain our motivation. So the question we ask ourselves when we talk about physical energy, when we talk about our physical health, the question we need to ask ourselves is, what habits do I have or should I have that will support my energy instead of sabotaging it? What physical habits? I gave us two examples. For me, walking and hydration, they support my energy. They don't sabotage my energy. So that's why I've incorporated them into my daily activities. I'm sure several times, if you have been watching for a while, you will see when I had to take a sip of water. It's not always because I'm thirsty, but because I know I need to hydrate. I've seen the benefits to my general energy to achieve things. Okay, and the last part of this framework is yes or no boundaries. What you allow and what you decline. These, I think, boundaries are or lack of boundaries, one of the biggest drain of energy. They are. When we don't know when to say no and we don't know when to say yes, is one of the biggest drains on our energy levels. So, we become overcommitted, we begin to resent, begin to develop resentment. Um, And it comes because many a times we say yes out of guilt, not necessarily because we think we need to do this, but out of guilt, we say yes. Um, we feel responsible for everything. You are not responsible for everything. We really are not. And we need to get that out of our system and learn how to say no to what drains you and say yes to what builds you, what gives you momentum is very important and very essential. And you have to ask yourself, what boundaries do you need to, put in place that will protect your energy right now? You need to ask yourself that question. What boundaries do I need to put in place? Because it is essential. All right. So having said all that, we can see that we don't lose momentum because we lack time. We lose it because we lack energy, or one aspect of our energy system is depleted. Once one aspect of our energy system is depleted, we begin to lose momentum and we need to put it back. Most times we only need to adjust one area. You don't actually most times need to adjust everything. Just one area, adjust one area, and you find that your momentum, your energy is rebuilt, and you're back on course to achieve whatever it is you need to achieve in life. So, Quickly, how do we manage our energy daily? What are the practical things we do or we can do that will help us manage our energy every single day? Number one is shift the question. Ask yourself, what does my energy support now? Instead of asking, how can I fit this into my day? Or how can I fit more into my day? Ask, what does my energy support right now? Focus on that. Focus on that. This helps you be productive without having guilt. Guilt of that I didn't do everything. Because by the time you focus on what does my energy support right now, you will see that you achieve a lot. You will have a lot you have achieved, and that will definitely boost your momentum and you'll be able to do more. The next thing that you can do, practical application, is to apply what is called the REST rule. Rest. R, respect your rhythms. E, eliminate energy leaks. S, schedule recovery. And T, trade intensity for consistency. Apply this rule. This is a hack for managing your energy daily. Respect your rhythms, eliminate energy leaks, schedule recovery, trade intensity for consistency. This will is a life hack to help you manage your energies daily. The third thing is the 3E rule for planning. Each day, identify energizing tasks, identify essential tasks, and identify exhausting tasks each day. And place them intentionally. The ones that are energizing, they're the ones you put more effort in. The essential tasks means you must do this, do them. But the exhausting tasks, find a way to either move them down the line or to remove them completely. And the fourth practical thing that you can do is to begin to apply boundaries. Apply boundaries. And these are the boundaries that will protect your momentum. Be honest about your capacity. Don't be the superhero. Be honest about your capacities. Know what you can truly do. Reduce unnecessary commitments, reduce them, cut them down to the barest minimum. Some commitments are truly not necessary. So reduce unnecessary commitments. Ask for support where you can, where you need it, not even where you can. Ask for support. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. Create margins. Give yourself room, space, create margins in your activities, in the things that you do, and then exit what drains you consistently. Once you identify something that drains you consistently, exit. Exit. Very essential. Now, we have looked at quite a lot. We have looked at the energy framework. If you took note, you'll see that energy frameworks, there's a mnemonic for it, and it's energy, ENERGY, energy. And these are just the things, the areas that you should look at that will help you take care. Okay, that will help you. Sorry, I had to just check my notes quickly to see if I missed something that I wanted to talk about. These are the aspects of energy that you really need to look at to ensure that you are not weak in any. That is what will help your whole wheel remain strong, your whole wheel remain intact and moving at a good pace. I'm moving at a good pace. All right, so the energy framework, once again: E, emotional energy, check your emotional energy. N, neural energy, that's your focus, your attention, your decision-making capacity. E, your environmental energy, your surroundings, noise, people, visual clutter. Check all those things to ensure that none of it is taken away from your focus or taken away from your being calm. R, rest and recovery, sleep, breaks, spiritual rest. Remember that rest is not a reward. Drawing my ear for this one. Rest is not a reward, it's a requirement. It's a requirement. G, gut and physical health, nutrition, hydration, movement. Incorporate this into your day because they do help your productivity. Your body is not separate from your productivity. You cannot separate your physical body from your ability to achieve things. And then why? Yes and no boundaries. Know what you allow, know what you decline, know when to say no, know when to say yes. Don't say no, don't say yes out of guilt, and don't feel guilty for saying no. Don't feel guilty for saying no. All right, so these are the things that I have for us once again. Yeah, I think that's okay for us today. In closing, remember to ask yourself these questions because it's not always a matter of time. It's not always that I ran out of time. It's not always that I don't have enough time. Sometimes I have all the time, I just lack the energy. So, where is my energy most depleted? Ask yourself that question. Find out where it is most depleted and begin to work on those areas. Also, ask what am I calling normal that is actually draining me? There are some things that we do to us, they're normal. This is what we have always done. But in reality, it is draining you. Look at your activities, check your life. What are you calling normal? But it actually is draining you. And then, what one boundary could protect my momentum this week? In closing, these are the things that I want us to contemplate. Remember the task from our last week's task. I don't know. I shared my own. Please do share your own with me also. For this week is a practice that I want us to imbibe or incorporate, and that is to stop adding more time and start protecting your energy. How you do it will be different from how I would do it, but it will come from doing this review, looking at all those different aspects of energy, the energy framework that I talked about, looking at it and asking yourself the base questions there and find out ways that you stop adding more time because it's not that you don't have time a lot of times. You have time, you're just lacking energy. And then start protecting your energy. All right, so that is where we bring this week's session to a close. Thank you all so much for joining me. Please share with me your learnings. What did you learn? What point stuck with you from this session today? Kelechi, I see you on Facebook. Mimi Beauty Touch, I see you on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me today. Our next session next week, Tuesday, we're going to be talking about building momentum through small wins. Through small wins. Thank you all once again. Please do remember to follow us on all our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're there. Follow us on all our social media handles, Growth Habits with Ngozi, or my personal pages, Ngozi Onwocholoba. Follow us everywhere. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, especially because on that channel, all the recordings of all the sessions we have done are there. Everything is there, complete. Nothing is missing. So subscribe to our YouTube channel, Growth Habits with Ngozi, and you will have all the sessions complete there. Even I did a couple of sessions where I talked about rest. You can go back and watch those sessions and see how to help yourself to rest more. I think I did 3 or 4 sessions on rest We looked at the different aspects of rest: physical rest, emotional rest, spiritual rest. We looked at all of those things. So you can go back on our channel and find those sessions and rewatch them. It will help you develop a practice of resting. Because to be productive, we have to manage our energy, not just our time. We have to be able to manage our energy, not just our time. Thank you so much once again. And remember to make today and every day count. Be valuable and grow. Make sure that you're growing every day. Don't let a day go by that you have not grown in one way or the other. Okay, thank you once again. Thank you once again. It's always my pleasure to share these minutes with you. I had hoped today's session went longer. Recently, we've been trying to make them quite short, but my apologies. Today went a little bit longer than all the other sessions, but we'll still try to finish before the 1 hour. God will help us, and we'll be able to, reduce it to 45 minutes, 30 minutes in time. But thank you for joining me, and do join me here once again next week, Tuesday, on Growth Habits with Ngozi. The time is 1 p.m. The place: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, any of those places. This session is live. Thank you, and see you all next week, Tuesday, right here on Growth Habits with Ngozi. Bye.